What's going on, guys? This is Skyhound, also known as Xavier Pierce, Geek Archivist. So, I recently uploaded another video with regards to a particular contest that happened months ago, last year. This was when Penacony was still going around, and it was still, they were at the climax of the story. There was a contest regarding the hat design for the Trailblazer. I decided to enter mainly also because I wanted to have a little bit of fun. So, to my surprise, eventually I learned that I won. And for those of you guys who are wondering again as to what it was this. Yeah, I didn't expect to be getting this one, to be honest, but I knew it was a random keychain. I just didn't know what character. And I don't even have her yet, even though I said that in the video. But anyway, I just heard another promotional video for Castorice just dropped. I have yet to watch it. This is going to be one of those reaction videos. Again, also, before I forget, if you guys like, what you see, hit the like and subscribe button. Even though my schedule isn't always consistent compared to other content creators, I do try to upload what I can. It does help my channel out, even though I'm, slowly building. Anyway, quick shout out to Melody Muse, who plays the voice of Castorice. And before I finish this recording, there's another video I will have to bring up and also give a shout out to the uploader that made this short. It is regarding this character. However, after I play it, I'm going to have to be blunt. Okay, guys, so before I actually get started with this, I figured I'm just going to listen first and then give my general thoughts. But before I start this, you can see here there's already the poem that they put in the description. So I'll just read it out first. Between a touch and farewell, I've seen the world. The blizzard melts in my palm. The deities close their eyes in spring. I've known them all too well. Regrets linger after the embrace. Pain burns in love, and grief echoes beneath the clamor. I've heard from them. Hands keep falling in battle against the great foes, in combat against the gold engulfed in sorrow, in war against the speechless black tide. They sing to defy death. They sing to preserve the life of memories. They sing the flight path to distant seas of flowers. They say, we must depart from there to seek our destiny. Reaching out, I beg of you, please, don't dwell in that fleeting moment between a touch and farewell. Who will write the poem called Castorice? Now that I got that part out of the way, let's begin, shall we?
You once wished to leave behind a snowflake for her.
Okay, that part's towards the end.
Hands didn't know how to draw the shape of life. Warmth lasts for but a moment, but the cold is endless. Like how your death-worshipping hometown now sleeps soundly in the blizzard of the long night.
Okay.
after they're made. Tears may follow after a smile, and then an eternal farewell may follow an embrace. It's better to have stayed in place and never had anything at all. Even so, death is not the end. To walk toward that distant tomorrow, we make a promise. The Flame Chair's journey won't end with my departure. See you. We'll meet again on the shores of the West Wind.
I gained inspiration from death and should repay it in kind. Golden blood settles on the shadows. Come with us. One day, just as we have testified for you, you will be able to testify for yourself. I wish.
That's a really good illustration.
Embrace the world before death comes, so that the souls of the world no longer weep, and the city bells never cease ringing. Even if it's just once, I want to use these hands to give a wilted flower new life. Even if the snow eventually melts, I hope you will leave behind a snowflake for me.
Okay, so you guys know I already read through the whole poem, but roughly around the 18-second mark, actually, I would say 16 seconds, I would say this is where the first part of the stanza, between a touch and farewell, I've seen the world, the blizzard melts in my palm, the deities close their eyes in spring. I'd say that the first three lines do reflect this part right here because it is a continuation of that animated short that we saw not too long ago. So, why do the first three lines arguably reference this bit? Because the young girl who was now an old lady and has already passed on remembers Castorice when she was small. At the same time, one could argue that this might be in reference to Castorice herself, because it's the part where it says, I've known them all too well, regrets linger after the embrace, pain burns in love, and grief echoes beneath the clamor. One might say that um, the whole stanza, the whole second stanza, is echoing what the old lady said because she says she doesn't fear death. She just has some regrets. So you could say that's where this whole stanza comes into play. And that at the same time, Casters has seen so many, pass on that basically she's unable to have, physical contact with regular humans. Now, the part where it says, I've heard from them, hands keep falling in battle against the great foes, in combat against the gold engulfed in sorrow, in war against the speechless black tide. This particular bit is roughly referenced here, 32-second mark, as well as here. We see the Sky Titan And then I'll move a little further. We see a hand there, and then we see Nikador thrusting its lance at the eye. Most would argue that you just saw two titans there. However, you see a hand there. So I'd argue it's not two, but three titans. Besides that, I'll just play it a little bit again. I actually like the way how they illustrated this part right here. We then see like the wings open up right here, like butterfly wings. This is done so well in terms of animation. And then it just envelops her like a cocoon. Then, of course, I'm sure they would do this somehow. Right here, 2 minutes, 53-second mark. This, I know those who are reacting to this are going to like this one a lot. You could say that this is definitely worthy of being a wallpaper in and of itself. But then, of course, I have to address this. I will say that while it does reference the prophecy of Tribios, this, from my observation, I will say this could arguably be a foreshadow, and I'll explain why in a bit. So, what do we know so far regarding Castorice? We know that she has um, been arguably chosen to be Death's emissary, you could say, or like the vessel for such an ability. However, I'm gonna briefly deviate and reference pop culture in the sense, because remember, I explained in one of my videos before the theme and the motif and all of this regarding her, Castorice, is arguably parallel to that of Tomoe Hotaru, Sailor Saturn. Now, for Mooney fans, we know that Sailor Saturn represents death and rebirth. With that last bit towards the end, we could say that Castorice is also the same representation. Hotaru wields a glaive, whereas Castorice wields a scythe. The difference here is Castorice said that she's missing a part of herself, which means that we know that, that last bit at the end. Let me see if I can get to that bit. So, okay, right here, around the 318 mark, even though I'm not showing the screen, 318 mark, it says, even if it's just once, I want to use these hands. And then it gets to that scene. To give a wilted flower new life. So, I would argue it's both a foreshadow and alluding to, you could say, Castorice finding that part of herself that she was missing and being able to, like she said, wanting to give a wilted flower new life. Now, if you think back to that animated short we had recently, remember, she was unable to touch that flower even though she has gloves on. So you could argue with this promotional video, she wants to try to do the opposite of what she did. So, in terms of her mission and what she's trying to do, remember in the patch announcement, the Trailblazer definitely plays a part. So, when I saw that bit, I'm thinking to myself, does the Stellaron have a part in this? And if so, what is it? That's that's not just my observation, but likely of other players. Because remember, the Stellaron was implanted inside the Trailblazer when Kafka and Silverwolf broke into, the space station. Now that she has it in her, now that he or she, depending which one he chose, has it in them, how will this come into play? That's the most obvious question. I'm actually quite curious to see how this will eventually play out when we play it. But overall, that's just my general thoughts and my observation and reaction regarding this promotional video. If you guys like this, do feel free to hit the like and subscribe button. It does help my channel out a lot, and I appreciate it. Stay safe, stay sane, and as a good friend of mine always said, stay humble. This has been Skyhound, also known as Xavier Pierce, Geek Archivist. Peace.